Hi, everyone. It's Eric Mashinsky here at the Gold Investment Letter. I'm sending a briefing out to GIL free e-letter members, and there has been a lot of chaos in the markets and a lot of fear and a lot of volatility around the Trump tariffs. I have actually been flat on my back with some sort of a virus since last Tuesday. Today is my first full day of being back in the office, catching up. I have a tremendous amount of information that I've absorbed in terms of research to relate to you guys that I think will be helpful in navigating this environment. It's actually one of the things that I'm proud to say for those that are in premium and elite, our memberships there, who are engaged just much more often about a lot of different details in terms of even like portfolio management, when to take profits, position sizing, what to buy things up to, when to start peeling things off. I have a bit of a knack, I think. There's plenty of things I'm not the greatest at, but I have a bit of a knack of catching markets very close to or near bottoms that are going to violently rally. And I don't know that we're there yet. Gold just, got a little shellacking along with the rest of the markets, but bouncing back resiliently. Listen, if we talked a year and a half ago, guys, and we said gold was going to be at $3,000, I think we'd all be elated. Now, it's like with all this shit going on in the world and the fact that the gold stocks have not really moved. Now, now remember one thing. In Q1, the top performing sector in the entire world in terms of a stock sector, the top performer were gold mining stocks. You're talking about the large caps, mind you, but people that are looking for ways to make money during these type of an environments of uncertainty, a little bit of chaos, confusion, the whole tariff war, all that stuff. I'll have further commentary on that, but look, I focus on areas where I believe that I've got an edge to make money. And one of the areas that has been frustrating for a lot of gold and silver investors is in the junior area with a lot of the smaller companies. And I get that. At the same time, we've had some huge winners in the last even 12 months on the small, tiny junior cap side of things. Just a few examples. Metallus, which I am a very, very big bull on right now, MTS in Canada, MTLFF in the US market. These guys are going to be gearing up to drill the Greyhound asset in Idaho, probably in June, 22, 23 miles away from the Stibnite mine by Perpetua, which is a 5 million ounce gold deposit, close to it's over $1 billion Canadian market cap. They've gotten $1.8 billion in government funding, much of that from the DoD and the Pentagon because of a byproduct called stibnite, or AKA antimony, which you've heard me talk about here. Metallus is found between 0.5% and 4.5% antimony on the surface of the Greyhound property. Perpetua is, as their studies have been very deep, and they've done a lot more work than Metallus, obviously. They've been working on this and getting it permitted for 15 years. But the reason why it's permitted, in my opinion, now is because the Pentagon needs the antimony so that we can defend our country. It's a really serious problem. But their antimony it's a lot of it, but it's only 0.7% grade. Metallus not only has high grade antimony, but they've got even higher grade silver and gold readings. And this next drill program that's coming out of there in June, I think could blow the doors open on that deal. But we saw that one come onto the premium junior venture list about 18 months ago. Now, it might have been less, where I highlighted it at 4 cents, and we started to buy it back slowly. A company I'm familiar with, CEO I'm familiar with, And it ended up, as they had acquired Greyhound and started doing some work and finding what they were finding, the stock went to 36 cents, pulled all the way back to where it is today, which is back under 20 cents Canadian, where I believe that it is a very strong buy. There are some very exciting, unique situations like Metallus that are out there that have moved. Focus Mining, FKMCF, I believe, in the US, which is back down from 20 cents to 13 cents Canadian, but that's up from an exclusive private placement that was just with elite members at GIL, going back almost exactly 16 to 18 months. 4 cent units, 6 cent warrant. Stock went to 20. It's still at 13. We've got in the money warrants. We've made a lot of money on our common stock. And I believe that that deal is gearing up for an act to be acquired within the next 12 months. And I don't see that happening less than 35 cents a share, because they've got, 3+ million ounces of gold already in Quebec, trading for nothing. It's like some of these situations, guys, you have to focus on, in my opinion, you get away from the noise, and if you really want to make money, you zero in on the stuff that may be being neglected right now because there are just not a lot of people that are taking action. And it doesn't mean that we pile into anything, but the best success that I've had is when I've chipped away, let time go by, but plant seeds. When there's something under a certain price that I really like, every month, every couple months, every dramatic downturn correction, or any time that I have some extra cash in my pocket, I chip away at these positions and build those positions. Those are two of them, for example, FKM, focus mining on the gold side, that, I still think I bought back stock that I sold in the high teens, and I didn't sell that much there. And I actually own several percent of that company. So I'm betting on it going and being bought out by one of the most prestigious groups in mining and powerful. And I think it's all going according to plan. I've met a lot of these entities and the CEOs at PDAC last month to get updates on these things as well. Those are two of the smaller ones. I just also wanted to mention Phenom Resources right now at 22 cents Canadian is a joke. So any of you that have been in this deal, that have looked for some of the most exciting stories that are going to come out of this next bull run in gold mining stocks, we have not seen nothing happen in the juniors, because there are companies and we've owned them. Like FCAM, for example, 4 cents to 20 is a five bagger. And if you did the placement, it's a 9.5x your money situation that we saw within a year. Metallus, 4 cents to almost 40. Um, so there's things like that that are happening on the tiny side, but they've pulled back and they quiet down and things like that. And that's not why we're in junior mining gold and silver and critical minerals securities. We're in it for a lot larger returns. And that is not come yet. And I'm not going to predict when it will. I've kind of gotten away from that because I was excited a couple of times that we were going to start to move, and they didn't stick. But what we're seeing stick is the price of gold. And that is a massive deal, guys. Pay attention to that. Gold, it's going to be very difficult. And if you look back to the Real Vision interviews that I had 18 months back and did a series every week for 6 months, as we broke out into new highs into gold, and every week was asked about what's it going to take, where's gold going, what's going to happen. I was reviewing some of those videos, being interviewed by Roger Hurst, because we're setting up another series, and it was backed by, I guess, popular demand, because for better or for worse, like, I'm not saying this to brag. A lot of you who've known me for a while, I've got my hits, I've got my misses, I've got my, I'm a person. I've got my flaws, but I do have some talents, and I completely nailed the gold trade. Completely, utterly, utterly nailed the move that once we had broken 2100 on a monthly closing chart basis, particularly after it happened the second time, which was close to what, 2 years now back, or 1 year back. 1 year back, uh, we went from that price to, I said it would go from 2,700 to 3,200 within 9 months. And that's exactly what has happened. From here going forward, gold, it was much easier for me making the calls before because of how suppressed and cheap it was and the way that the technical activity was setting up. But I'm not expecting anything incredibly dramatic on gold, $500 north or $500 south for the rest of the year. I think that we're going to see, potentially we could see 35, $3,700 gold. And potentially we could also see 27, $2,600 gold. In either event, you have gold stocks that are trading for absolutely pennies on the dollar that are going to start to be acquired and zoomed up by smart money, because there is a trickling down effect. If you look at the producers, the Agnicos, the Newmonts, the Barracks, and things of that nature, we're in a situation at $3,000 gold where these companies have tightened their belts for decades because of undercapitalization in the space, high costs, low gold prices, and they're starting to print real money. And that's what Wall Street likes. Even generalist investors are moving over into having exposure into mining stocks because of the fact that they're just earnings machines right now. And unless we see that pullback in gold go somewhere that I just don't believe it's going to go to, like, for example, if gold plummeted to 2000, that would take a lot of the luster off of things. But gold, as I've said for years and years and years, is the safest place for my money on planet Earth. We also have, with all this macro stuff that's been happening, my inclination in general, and I do plan to get into a lot more detailed analysis and charts from a macro perspective down to a sector perspective, the areas within mining equities that I believe are going to outperform, specific to situations like silver, which I am incredibly bullish on. That is what, now at 100 to 1, 100 to 1 silver to gold ratio. Way out of whack, not gonna last. Silver is so cheap. The silver stocks, even producers like First Majestic, should be trading 2 to 3 times higher than they are right now, in my opinion. And they will play catch up fast when they decide to do so. So you don't have to go all the way into the ghetto like I like to tend to do once in a while. Maybe one of my bad or scary little habits where I've taken, stakes of 1 to 8% of entire small junior companies that are in the metals and mining industry that are trading for a song, that do have some assets that are interesting, and I plan to make a fucking fortune on them. But I just don't know exactly when that's going to occur. I think those of you that are still here, I would encourage you, just don't get overly discouraged or frustrated and then chase something else. Like, for example, the worst thing that could happen is if you've been with GIL and myself for like a decade. Imagine if you were the one that, so crypto starts running again here soon, which I think it will. And crypto's like Bitcoin, for example, down at $75,000 is a buy. If you don't have a lot of Bitcoin, now's your chance. Now's your chance to be buying something on sale. It's well off of its highs and it's going tremendously higher. But it had a Trump pump, going into the election and all this stuff with the ETFs. We had a conglomeration of activity that the sector got out over its skis. and needed a digestion period. But imagine that that starts to take off when finally like gold is starting to retreat, which has been crushing Bitcoin actually in the last 6 months in terms of performance, which is why I am very complimentary on having both of those assets in my portfolio in a meaningful way. But because you could switch over some of your gold for Bitcoin soon and vice versa at different times. It's helped me tremendously. I don't do it with the entire positions and try to speculate with that. Some of it is just allocated, it's long term, and that's that. But imagine if you're somebody here, and this will happen, and it's already happened to people I know, where you listened to me in 2016 recommend Bitcoin at $500 a Bitcoin. And then also, again, pounding the table before every turn, big turn in the marketplace, going back to 19 in the bear market when we went down to well actually it was down close to it, but then in the March COVID crash we went to 3200, and that was down from six uh that was down from the 20,000 high in 2017. And I was screaming from the mountaintops for months for us to get exposure there before it went to 66, 67,000 as a top in 2021. And I talk about Bitcoin here at Gold Investment Letter because it's highly relevant to what we consider money and flows. And I don't get too much into the other cryptocurrencies, but the other cryptocurrencies, just like the juniors, hopefully in this space, are what took my returns in 2021 to levels that I've never experienced in my life before. And maybe I never will again, but I think I do know what I'm doing to a good degree in terms of being a long term venture capital angel investor in tech and applying that to crypto tokens. So that's why I launched an entirely new other newsletter 2 years ago, phenomcrypto.com, Phenom crypto.com, for those of you that are interested in that area. But the shame would be if we get Bitcoin taking off again, say in the next month or 6 weeks, and goes to new highs, which I think that's very possible. I don't like to predict it that type of a timeline because you can be off by a month or two, but I think we're very close to the lows there. And maybe a spike below 70,000 or something just to scare the shit out of the last Johnny come latelys. But say, for example, after that, you get a very big rip and it goes hard and fast, and Bitcoin is back to 110, 20, 30 new highs. You hear about it everywhere. And gold is correcting because it's digesting those massive 50% moves that we've seen in a very short period of time. And so then you all of a sudden capitulate on, gold mining stocks that are trading for nothing, and your gold that's down, a bit from its highs, and go ape into BTC at $150,000, which might continue on for the short term to 170 or 200. What's your exit strategy from there? Imagine that if that's you, you're here at GIL, and one of the things that I try to help with the positioning of some of these more macro assets, when to be cautious, when to be putting capital to work. I'll tell you right now, the timing is ripe for those of you that believe in certain miners and metals and junior stocks, is to be slowly but consistently adding to your positions, putting cash to work, because there are things that are just still so incredibly cheap. Doing the same with averaging into BTC and Ethereum before you worry about some of the small ones. But if you want action, join my premium service. You'll talk about action. We just had one of the biggest corrections ever in altcoins happening over the last 4 months. A lot of the alt tokens that are really small ones, like below Ethereum, are down 80%. Just 2 days ago, I sold the last 125,000 tokens called Saros. at a 100x return from what I recommended in our premium portfolio August 29th of last year. So, and I had a fucking shitload of Saros that I sold all the way up. And that helps because then you have money to go buy a lot of the other ones that you'd still like that have been destroyed. And you need the same type of situation in the mining stocks, which brings me really quickly to Phenom Resources. Right now, guys, is when you want to be buying and accumulating Phenom Resources. They just finished the $2 million financing. There are going to be at least two drill programs, one of which at Crescent Valley. There are a myriad of huge asset drilling opportunities at Phenom, not only on the gold side, but on the vanadium side of things that are happening. They've happened a bit slower than we liked, but I think, now with some of the cash in the bank and the things that they're working on, look, it's just a matter of time with Phenom before we have a massive discovery in Nevada. It's sort of like the backdrop is the Dobbin asset, where we've got enough data to know that that's a deposit level new discovery in Nevada, which should be at a minimum a multi-million ounce high grade gold discovery. We just have to wait on permitting, which is hopefully being expedited now due to the new administration. And Phenom can be a multi-$100 million, $500 million market cap company just for Dobbin. So you don't want to be getting discouraged on stuff like that right now. In fact, it's a great time to be adding selectively to a Phenom. And remember, say you buy some at 25 cents Canadian or whatever. Uh, let's say 30 cents Canadian. It's at right now like 23 cents Canadian. You buy it at 30 cents Canadian and it just goes back to 45. It's a 50% return on your money. And there's no doubt in my mind that's going to happen this year. So play, if you're familiar with the story and you like it long term, and you can buy when it's down in the lower end of the channels, I would encourage it. Now, lastly, I'm just going to tell you guys, I have a video going out shortly to my elite and premium members about the biggest stock pick in gold, the biggest leveraged stock idea and play in gold that I've ever seen in my life, that I am absolutely, utterly convinced is going to be a mega home run that has very low downside from where it's priced right now, that has no need for anybody like us to get involved to be able to do what they need to do to finance the company to the point where they are worth a $500 million minimum, $1 billion market cap, and or to take an enormous mine into production that has already had over 20 million ounces of gold discovered and some new angles that are incredible. And the stock recently had a bid that went into the 70s US, and for whatever reason, all of a sudden started to fall back off with this market back into the 50 cent area US. And I'm going to be reminding and giving some new information to my premium and elite members. I am just adamant, and this includes my best friends in the world. It's not that normal with because of the high risk nature of the areas that I play in, that I'll call like a really good buddy and say, make sure you buy some of this stock, because what's the upside? It goes up and they say, oh, I was a genius. They were the ones who came up with it. It goes down and it's like Bashinsky, you screwed me over. So I'm only doing it because I'm so utterly convinced that this thing is, a 50 cent stock that, I mean, if I fall on my face, this thing is going to $2 next year, and it could go to 10 to 20. So, and that's with just Gold not going back below like 26, 2,700. If it stays here or goes higher, all bets are off. And this thing, when it gallops, the last time that it went up into the 70s, I had actually cautioned the members that it was a double top, so that if it was going to cool off, let it cool off now. And it has. And we're buying all of the stock. If you want that information, just go join Premium right now. It'll be worth your while. Absolutely. I'll give you that information, that symbol right away. Just sign up, email Erica, Erika, at phenom.ventures. Say, I want the symbol of the stock that Eric was talking about. And I will give you that symbol along with a summary and a video about the details, and you can get in on it at its absolute lows. And I mean, I'm talking about even if you put in, 5, 10 grand, you can pay for an elite membership for free. And the elite membership is where shit really pops off. But the premium is only about $1,400 a year. And I'm telling you, with the environment that we're in and we're coming into, now is not the time to be lethargic, benign, using recency bias for gold and silver investors. That's one thing that I will guarantee you guys of, is that I will miss on picks because of the nature of the volatility and the high risk nature of what we invest in as an asset class and a category. But I'm going to hit some shit so far out of the park going forward in this $3,000 gold environment and above. And silver, Jesus, wait until you see the shit that I bring to the table for those that buy silver. I just took profits of 100 times my money in the cryptocurrency 2 days ago during one of the biggest corrections in altcoin history. Before that, I'll spare you all the amounts of returns we've had in crypto and over the years here at GIL. So we're all getting older, and what's up with this person, that person. When I heard about Eric, he talked about Bravada Gold at 20 cents, and it's been a piece of crap, and he's an asshole, and he's an idiot, or he's shady. Hey, listen, that stuff happens, guys. But I would just say, if you want a real shot at a bit of a unique way to carve up some real profits for yourself and your family, um, I'm here, and I'm actually pretty good at what I do. At the end of the day, if you can look at it as a holistic scenario and sort of buy in a little bit instead of, I'm not looking for doubting Thomas's critics, pikers, people that want to get one or two stocks and expect to get rich in 6 months. Just get off of my list. It's because I can't help you, not because I hate you. I can't help you. But came from nothing and now I'm something. And the only reason for that is because of the abilities that I have in the capital markets. And I share that to the best of my ability with people that honor me with their own time and monies. And all of you that are here in the free letter, I try to give also information for ideas that you can take advantage of without having to worry about making any payments. But sometimes information is worth paying for. And I can tell you that the sources of information that I have, the experience that I have, the views that I have, the calls that I've made overall on big things, the types of winners that I've booked in terms of, I mean, how many of you guys have made 10 times your money in a stock? I don't know. I don't know what the percentage is. I need to take a poll. I don't think it's more than 3 or 4%. It might be even like less. I've made over 10 times my money on 100 different investments. I've made 650 times my money, 500 times my money, 550 times my money, 400 times my money, 200 and 300 times my money, 100 and 150 times my money, 60 times my money, 40 times my money. This is a mishmash of tech, crypto, and junior miners, baby. So these are the areas of my specialty or special area of interest, I would say. And look, we get a really good market where some of this stuff starts to move. I operate like it's not going to do that, and we still need to make money and grind out big profits. But if it does get us going, you not being a part of the way that we're moving and shaking and shucking and jiving and pyramiding our gains would really be a shame. So I hope some of you guys join us. That's it for today. Have a good one.